Disclaimer: this content is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. My name is Isla. I'm 34. And I've been carrying around this strange cocktail of guilt, anger, and shame that I can't quite put down. It's hard to explain what happened without sounding like I'm making excuses, or like I'm throwing him under the bus. But I'll try. We needed money. That's where it started, I guess. Not the cracks, no. Those came earlier. But that was the first time I realized the cracks weren't just surface level. When Kai and I signed up to film a couple scene, yes, that kind, we both thought it'd be a thrill. A little edgy, a little desperate, sure. But we used to be that couple. The ones who dared each other into things, who whispered dirty jokes in public, who had sex in the back of a movie theater once just because we were drunk and 27. There was a time when I felt more alive around him than I did in my own skin. And when we said yes to the ad, when we laughed about how wild it was, I thought maybe this could be a strange, weird way back to that feeling. It wasn't. That morning, he kissed me in the kitchen while the coffee brewed. His mouth was warm, familiar. But something in it felt gone. I couldn't even name it, but my body flinched in this tiny way I hoped he wouldn't notice. Not away from him, exactly, just away from the emptiness behind the kiss. It felt practiced, like he knew the steps but not the music anymore. He wrapped his arms around my waist and rested his chin on my shoulder while I stirred sugar into my mug. "You nervous?" he asked, voice light, like this was still a game. "Little bit," I said. I smiled, but it felt like stretching my face over a lie. He squeezed me tighter, like maybe pressure could fix distance. "We'll be good. Easy money." He still called me baby sometimes. Still reached for me at night. Still brushed the hair off my face like it meant something. But somewhere in the middle of 6 years, between job losses and his late nights gaming and the way I started closing the bathroom door again, the intimacy turned into routine. I don't even remember the last time I felt really wanted. Not just touched, wanted. There was this night a few weeks before the shoot. I'd put on that navy slip he used to love, the one that clung in all the right places. I leaned in, kissed his neck, whispered that I missed him. He turned, kissed me, ran his hand down my side, but then his eyes flicked back to his phone and the moment slipped right through us. "Let's go to bed," he said, like that was enough. We didn't have sex. He held me under the blanket, stiff and almost dutiful, and I just lay there, blinking into the dark, pretending I wasn't crying. I didn't bring it up. I didn't want to seem needy or pathetic or like I was keeping score. But I was. I still am. The day of the shoot, I wore my red lipstick. The one he used to say made me look like trouble. We showed up together, hands linked but cold. There were other couples, lights, cameras, laughter that didn't quite reach the eyes. The director walked around like he was shopping, observing us all, smiling politely. Then he pointed at me. "You," he said. "You're perfect." I glanced at Kai. He didn't say anything. "Just you, actually," the director added. "We'll pair you with someone else. Hope that's okay." My stomach dropped, but Kai just shrugged. Like it didn't matter. Like I didn't matter. Or like maybe he was relieved. I followed the man upstairs. I haven't told anyone this part. When I closed the door behind me and looked at the stranger I was supposed to touch, something cracked wide open in me. It wasn't about sex. It wasn't even about betrayal. It was the moment I realized that Kai hadn't looked at me like I was his in a long time. And worse, I wasn't even sure if I still wanted him to. That was the moment. The exact one. The moment I stopped pretending we were okay. Kai's a paramedic. I used to think that meant he understood pain, both the kind you bleed and the kind you bury. He's seen things I can't imagine. And maybe that's part of the problem. After enough trauma, maybe everything starts to look like a wound you can tape over. He came home the night after the shoot and acted like nothing had happened. "You hungry?" he asked, tossing his keys into the bowl by the door. His uniform smelled like sweat and antiseptic, and I watched him peel off his vest like he always did, this casual stripping down that used to feel like coming home. I shook my head. "I ate earlier." He came up behind me in the kitchen, wrapped his arms around my waist like he always used to, and pressed his lips into my neck. His stubble scratched a little. I didn't move. "You were amazing yesterday," he said, voice low. "You looked, damn. I wanted to storm in there and carry you out." I laughed, but it wasn't real. "Then why didn't you?" His hands froze on my hips. "What? You just let them take me upstairs. You didn't even blink." He pulled back. "It's what we signed up for, Isla." "No," I said, turning to face him. "We signed up together. Not for me to be handed off like I didn't even matter." He looked confused. Actually confused, like this was all new information. "I thought you were okay with it. You didn't say anything." I stared at him. "You didn't ask." "That's always been the gap between us. He touches before he listens. Thinks his hands say what his mouth never does. And maybe they used to. Maybe when we were younger, that was enough for me. But now it feels like he's trying to solve an emotional drought with physical floodwaters. Like if he presses hard enough, kisses long enough, pulls me close enough, I'll stop noticing how far away he really is." That night, we lay in bed back to back. I could feel him trying to inch closer under the blanket. His hand found my waist again. Gentle. Apologetic. Like a peace offering in the dark. "I still want you," he whispered. "You know that, right?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. It wasn't about whether he wanted me. It was whether he saw me anymore. Whether he noticed that I don't laugh at his jokes like I used to. That I pull my hand away faster when we hold them in public. That I've started scrolling on my phone while we eat dinner because silence feels safer than trying. The next morning, he made pancakes. His way of fixing things. He poured the batter in perfect circles, added chocolate chips to mine like always. He smiled when he handed me the plate, leaned down to kiss my cheek. I let him. But inside, I felt like someone had shut off the volume on a TV show I used to love. Halfway through breakfast, I said, "I'm thinking about taking a solo trip." He looked up. "Where?" "I don't know. Doesn't matter. Just, somewhere. I need time." He put his fork down, eyes scanning my face like he was searching for a splinter. "Time for me?" I nodded. He didn't yell. Didn't beg. Just sat there, stunned. And for a second I hated how decent he was. How calm. Like this was another call at work, a car crash, a seizure, a heart attack, and he could just follow protocol until it passed. "You're pulling away," he said finally. "And I'm trying. I really am." "I know." I said it gently, because it was true. But effort doesn't mean alignment. We were dancing two different dances, trying not to trip on each other's feet. He reached across the table and took my hand, holding it like a fragile thing. "I miss us." "I do too," I whispered. And I meant it. But missing something doesn't always bring it back. It was the silence after that, long, fragile, loaded, that told me the truth we hadn't said out loud yet. We were loving each other in languages neither of us could speak anymore. It started happening more often after that morning. Little things. Kai would brush against me when passing in the hallway, and instead of feeling sweet or playful, it felt strategic. Like he was always testing the waters to see if I'd soften. If maybe today was the day I'd kiss him back the way I used to. One night, I was folding laundry on the couch, just tank tops and socks and the same pair of pajama pants I always wore. He came up behind me, slid his arms around my waist like a second skin, and rested his chin on my shoulder. "You smell like lavender," he murmured into my neck. I stiffened before I could stop myself. He didn't let go. "Still mad at me?" "No," I said, too quickly. But I could feel him trying to turn it into something more. His hands started drifting, slow and soft, like they were trying to coax a mood out of me that wasn't there. I stayed still. Let him keep going. My chest was tight and I couldn't name why, only that I wanted to be alone more than I wanted to be touched. "Kai," I said quietly. "Can you not, right now?" He stepped back like I'd slapped him. "Jesus. I'm just trying to be close to you." "I know. It's not," I closed my eyes, pinching the bridge of my nose. "It's not that I don't love you. I don't want to be touched like that right now." "Like what?" I turned around to face him. "Like I'm a box you're trying to open." His mouth opened and closed. "I don't know what you want anymore, Isla. You say you miss us, but you push me away every time I try to get near you." "I want to feel connected again," I snapped. "And this thing you keep doing where you just grab me or kiss me and expect it to fix everything, it's not working." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "So what, I'm not allowed to touch you unless we have a deep emotional debrief first?" "No, Kai. I swallowed. I need more than just sex. I'm not just trying to have sex." "Then why does it always feel that way?" He didn't answer. Just stared at me like I'd grown another head. I hated that I couldn't explain it right. That I sounded ungrateful, cold, dramatic. But it wasn't about this moment. It was the accumulation of too many nights where I let him touch me and felt nothing. Of kisses that started out okay and then slowly turned mechanical. Of every moment I smiled through it just to avoid hurting his feelings, until the smiling itself felt like a betrayal. Later, in bed, he tried again. He rolled over and ran his fingers up my arm, slow and cautious. "You're beautiful," he whispered. I turned my face away. He kissed my shoulder, warm and tender. But I didn't feel tender. I felt tired. Tired of pretending my body was still his favorite place. Tired of pretending mine didn't feel like it was shrinking away every time he looked at it like an invitation. I let him kiss me, because saying no felt too heavy. He didn't push. He never did. But I knew what he wanted. I knew where it was going. And I hated how I just let it. I kissed him back, barely. Then rolled over and whispered, "I'm not in the mood." He sighed and didn't say anything, just pulled the blanket higher over his chest like he was shielding himself. In the dark, I blinked up at the ceiling. Why does everything have to turn into sex? It was supposed to be a date night. Kai made reservations at our favorite Italian place, the one with the mismatched candles and the old Sinatra songs playing just loud enough to fill the silence. I wore a dress. Did my hair. Pretended I wasn't dreading it. We were seated in the back, tucked in a corner booth like we used to request on anniversaries. He reached across the table, took my hand. His thumb traced little circles over my skin. "I missed this," he said softly. I gave a small smile. I tried. God, I really tried to meet him there. Halfway through dinner, he brought up the shoot again. "You know, the director emailed. Said if you ever want to work with them again, they'd love to have you. Solo stuff, mostly. But it pays well." I dropped my fork. The clatter was too loud, but I didn't care. He blinked at me, surprised. "What? Do you seriously think I want to do that again?" My voice cracked. I just thought, he leaned back, confused. You said it wasn't that bad. I thought maybe it gave you confidence or, hell, maybe you liked it. Liked it? I laughed, a sharp, dry sound. I didn't like it, Kai. I disassociated so hard I don't even remember what his face looked like. The table fell silent. I saw his jaw tighten. He didn't understand. Or maybe he didn't want to. You never even asked, I said, quieter now. Not once. You just let it happen. And now you're suggesting I go back? He held up his hands, defensive. You said you were okay. You didn't seem upset. I wasn't okay. The words exploded out of me, louder than I meant. Heads turned. I didn't care. I was humiliated. I felt like a prop. And you stood there and let them pick me like I was some audition prize. His face went blank. I thought it was what we agreed on. That's the problem, Kai. You're always following the plan without checking if I'm still in it. He looked like he wanted to say something, but instead he just reached for his water and took a slow sip. I couldn't breathe. It felt like every corner of my body was vibrating, aching for something I didn't have words for. It was supposed to be our thing, I said, almost whispering now. Some weird, messy adventure to remind us who we were. But the second they picked me, you didn't fight. You didn't blink. You just let them take me. Because I trusted you could handle it, he said finally. I thought you wanted to. I stared at him. I needed you to see that I wasn't okay. To say something. To ask me how I felt afterward. You didn't even touch me that night. You went to bed like nothing happened. His silence was louder than any argument. I pushed back from the table, my appetite long gone. You're not listening, Kai. You never really do. He didn't follow me out of the restaurant. In the car, I gripped the steering wheel like it could anchor me. I felt the tears coming and didn't stop them. They poured out, hot, angry, humiliated. What was I even mad at? That he didn't read my mind? That I went through with it when I didn't want to? That he couldn't tell the difference between consent and comfort? No. I was mad because part of me did want the attention. I wanted to feel chosen again. Desired. Desired in a way that Kai hadn't looked at me in months. And when that stranger's eyes lingered on me, when the director said perfect, I felt powerful for half a second, and then so hollow. And Kai, he didn't even flinch. That part haunted me. It was like he'd already let go of me before anyone else laid a hand on me. In the rearview mirror, I saw myself, mascara streaked, lips trembling, heart cracked down the middle. Was I leaving him? Or was I just finally admitting he left first? I hated the shame curling in my gut. I hated how much I still wanted him to run after me. To wrap his arms around me and say, I messed up, I'm sorry, I see you now. But all I could hear in the silence of that parked car was the question I couldn't escape anymore. Why does everything have to turn into sex? It's been 2 weeks since that night. We still live in the same apartment. Still sleep in the same bed. But there's this thin film over everything now, like the air between us has been plastic wrapped, preserving the shape of what we used to be, but cutting off the oxygen. He's quieter. I can't remember the last time he made a joke. His keys don't jingle when he comes home anymore, he sets them down gently now, like even that sound might crack something. And when I say hey from the couch, he says it back like I'm just a roommate. Cordial. Distant. He hasn't touched me in 11 days. I've counted. Not because I'm craving sex. I'm not. But I miss his weight behind me in bed, the way his arms used to pull me in while he was half asleep. I miss his fingers brushing mine when we passed each other a coffee mug. I miss how he used to tuck my hair behind my ear without even realizing he was doing it. Now, he barely looks at me. And I don't blame him. The truth is, I hurt him. Not just at the restaurant, though that was the worst of it. It's all the little cuts before that. The recoiling. The flat-lipped kisses. The way I stopped reaching for him and started flinching like affection was something to endure. I know what that does to a man like Kai. Someone who's seen people die in the back of ambulances and has built his love language around presence. Around being there. And I was the one person he counted on to see him, not just what he could do. Now I watch him come home from 12-hour shifts and sit in silence on the balcony, staring out at nothing with tired eyes and that half-empty whiskey glass he refills too often. Sometimes he pulls out his phone and scrolls through photos. I can tell from the way he holds the screen slightly away, like a private memory. Once, I glanced over and saw a picture of us on that hike in Oregon. We were soaked from the rain, grinning like idiots. My nose was red, and his curls were plastered to his forehead, but we looked like people who knew how to love each other. I turned away before he saw me looking. I want to fix this. I do. But I don't know how to reach out without reopening the wound. I don't know how to say, I'm still here without sounding like I'm pretending I never checked out. I thought about writing a letter. Or booking us a couple's retreat. Or just crawling into bed one night and asking, can you hold me? But I haven't done any of it. I just move through the house like a ghost with memories. Fold his laundry. Set out 2 mugs instead of 1. Try not to cry when he leaves for work without saying goodbye. Last night, I sat on the floor of the shower and let the water hide my tears. I realized I'd been grieving him even though he's still here. I think I stopped being angry the moment I saw how quiet his sadness was. How he never threw it in my face or tried to guilt me into fixing it. He just faded a little more every day. And I think I finally understand, he didn't stop loving me. He just got tired of asking for a version of me that wasn't showing up. So now I'm sitting here with my phone in my hand, heart pounding, staring at a blank text message screen. I miss you. I'm sorry. Can we talk? I could send it. I could try. Really try. But I also know what it costs to reopen your heart when you're not sure it'll be received. And the longer I wait, the more I wonder if I already missed my chance. It was almost midnight when I finally walked into the living room. Kai was there, asleep on the couch, one leg draped over the armrest, blanket barely covering his chest. He still had his socks on, mismatched ones, and his phone was resting on his chest. A podcast paused mid-sentence. I stood there in the doorway, watching him breathe. This was the man I used to dance around the kitchen with. The man who'd kissed the inside of my wrist the night he told me he loved me. The man who drove 6 hours through a snowstorm to surprise me on my birthday. And here he was, looking more peaceful unconscious than he had in weeks. I sat down gently beside him, careful not to wake him. Just watched his chest rise and fall. My eyes burned, but I didn't cry. When he stirred, I almost got up. But his eyes opened, sleepy and soft, and he looked at me like he wasn't sure if he was dreaming. Hey, he murmured, voice thick. Hey. He sat up slowly, rubbed his eyes. Is everything okay? I nodded. Then shook my head. No. Not really. He didn't speak. He just let me sit with the truth of it. I miss you, I whispered, picking at my thumbnail. Even when we're in the same room. It's like I'm in a fog and I can see you, but I can't reach you. Kai looked down, then up again. I miss you too. But I don't know how to be close to you without feeling like I'm walking on eggshells. I know. My voice broke. That's my fault. His brow furrowed. It's not just yours. Silence stretched between us, not heavy, not light. Just real. I wasn't ready for what that shoot stirred up, I said, trying to steady my voice. I thought if I went through with it, we'd come out closer. But it cracked something open in me I didn't know how to deal with. I should have checked in. Asked you how it really felt. I nodded, biting my lip. And I should have told you the truth sooner. I kept pretending I was fine so you wouldn't feel guilty. And that made me resent you. Which isn't fair. He exhaled, long and slow. I think we both got hurt in different ways. And neither of us knew how to say it out loud. A beat passed. Then he reached for my hand. I let him take it. We didn't kiss. We didn't fall into some perfect apology hug. We just sat there, skin touching, breath sinking, the TV humming quietly in the background. Maybe we won't go back to who we were. Maybe we'll never be that reckless, inseparable version of us again. But in that moment, sitting on a worn couch at midnight, holding the hand of the man I still love, I felt something flicker. Not the fire we had. Something smaller. But real. Like a pilot light. Maybe that's enough to start again. I used to think sex was the glue. That if we could just touch enough, kiss enough, feel each other enough, the rest would fall into place. But that's not true. Not for me, at least. What I really wanted, what I craved, was to be known. Not just undressed, not just wanted, but seen. To have someone look me in the eye and say, I still choose you, even when you're tired, even when you're cold, even when you're not sure who you are right now. And for a long time, Kai did that. He did it better than anyone ever had. Which is why it hurt so much when that started to fade. When the touches felt like questions, and the kisses felt like pressure, and I stopped recognizing myself in the space between us. That shoot, that moment upstairs with a stranger's hands on my skin while Kai stood downstairs, pretending it was okay, I thought it would force something out of us. That it would break us open, make us honest. But all it did was show me how far we'd already drifted. I don't blame him for not stopping it. I don't blame him for believing me when I said I was fine. I blame myself for lying. For lying with my mouth, my body, my silence. Here's what I learned: you can say yes with your lips and scream no with your heart. You can be touched 100 ways and still feel completely untouched. And you can be in love, deeply, painfully in love, and still find yourself disappearing, inch by quiet inch. I used to think desire was a spark. That if it was real, it would never dim. But now I think desire is a language. And like any language, it takes time, patience, and fluency to understand. You can't speak it through muscle memory. You can't fake it with foreplay. You have to listen. You have to ask. You have to pause before assuming someone wants to be reached. Kai and I, we're still figuring that out. We didn't have some grand reunion. No cinematic speech in the rain. We held hands on a couch while the world felt heavy and small and quiet. And in that silence, something began again. Not a fire. Not a passion. A willingness. A willingness to learn each other all over again. To ask before assuming. To wait for the truth even when it's messy. Especially when it's messy. I'm not sure where we'll land. Some mornings, we laugh like we used to. Some nights, we sleep on opposite sides of the bed and pretend the distance doesn't ache. But every now and then, he'll reach for me, not with urgency, not with expectation, just with presence. And sometimes, I reach back. That's the part one want to leave you with. Not the pain, not the missteps, not the bruises we gave each other without meaning to. But the reaching. Because intimacy isn't always about heat. Sometimes, it's about the hand that's still there when the fire goes out. The voice that says, I see you're hurting, and I'm not going anywhere. If you're in something that feels hollow, ask yourself, is it dead, or is it quiet? Is it broken, or is it asking you to rebuild? And when you're touched, really touched, can you feel yourself being known? Because if not, you deserve more. Not more sex. More seeing. More hearing. More truth. That's what I'm learning, slowly, every day. Desire isn't about performance. It's about being brave enough to stay in the room when someone shows you their real, aching self. And it's about choosing, over and over, to reach for their hand anyway.